Iran and the US have a long history. For the last 35 years, the two countries have dealt with each other as archenemies. That might be changing, but before we go there, let's go back to 1953.
That was the year US and British intelligence staged a coup against Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mosaddegh. The coup happened 2 years after Mosaddegh led a push to nationalize Iran's oil industry, including reserves owned by the British Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. The US restored Iran's king, SHAH Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, as the autocratic ruler of the country. But the Shah was widely unpopular in Iran, and many suffered under his brutal and corrupt regime until 1979, when he was overthrown in a popular revolution. Soon after, one of the revolution's leaders, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, who was forced into exile by the Shah, returned to become the head of the new Islamic Republic of Iran. Meanwhile, the Shah managed to flee to the United States, prompting Iranian students to occupy the U.S. Embassy in Tehran to demand his return. 52 Americans were held hostage in the embassy for 444 days before being released. The incident marked the end of diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Iran. Since then, the two countries haven't engaged in direct war, but you can say it's a Cold War that sometimes gets hot. Over the years, Iran and the U.S. have armed and funded groups and countries against the other's interests, basically battling each other in proxy wars. Here are some examples. In 1980, Iraq President Saddam Hussein invaded Iran with the support from the American government. The war between Iran and Iraq lasted 8 years. Iran, in turn, supported what would eventually become Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's the group that was blamed for the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, as well as the U.S. Marines barracks in 1983, which killed more than 250 Americans. President Ronald Reagan declared Iran a state sponsor of terrorism and imposed greater U.S. sanctions against the country. These sanctions had nothing to do with the nuclear program. In fact, the U.S. originally helped the Shah create Iran's nuclear program in the 1950s. But back to the 80s and 90s. The U.S. mistakenly shot down an Iranian passenger plane in 1988, killing 290 people. In the mid-90s, the Clinton administration slapped more sanctions on Iran for supporting Hezbollah and the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas. The U.S. blamed these groups for several attacks on its ally, Israel. In the early 2000s, Iran moved to restart its nuclear program, which it said is for peaceful purposes only. But the International Atomic Energy Agency and others suspected it was not. And after 2 terms of a defiant president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, a new period of hope for diplomatic relations began in June 2013, when Hassan Rouhani was elected as Iran's new president.
Rouhani has said that he wants a win-win solution to Iran's nuclear program. And as the Middle East reels from violent revolutions, civil wars, and coups, the US and Iran's desire for stability has seen their interests align more than ever. So, could we see an end to their animosity anytime soon?